Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lindy's Magpie Reads. I'm Lindy, and I've got special guest here today, Marilyn, Marilyn Maya Mendoza. She's got her own booktube channel, so you probably know her from there. But if you're not familiar, look for a link in the description box down below. And Marilyn is here visiting me in Victoria. Arrived here yesterday, and we've got a few little adventures to tell you about. And we're also going to tell you about a few books that we've been reading lately.
Of course.
So, yes, stick around for book talk. So, Marilyn, why don't you start? Tell us about something you've finished recently.
Well, I haven't been reading that much because I've been planning my trip, and I know it's Mental Health May. So for my mental health, I decided to go to Canada and meet my good friend Lindy. And I'm so glad I did. I'm having such a wonderful time. Lindy is just wonderful and showing me around the beautiful Victoria of Vancouver Island, which I found out is not the city of Victoria, the city of Vancouver, which I've been to. But what I love about it here, beside Lindy's wonderful hospitality, is that there's so many bookstores here. And I'm having so much fun just exploring not only bookstores, but tea, because I love tea. And yeah, so I haven't been reading too much. I read one book by Raymond Chandler. It's his last book. It's something like Playback or something like that. And it was written a year before he passed away. And basically, it doesn't have much of a mystery. And it was the only book that he wrote that wasn't made into a movie, which is interesting. And I think I know why, because it's about a woman who is hiding her past. And basically, everyone's looking for her, but we don't know why. So, yeah, but the setting was wonderful. The noir feeling of the novel was wonderful. But I'm going to let Lindy talk about her books because I'm just going to talk about and I've also read an Alice Munro, my first short story, but we'll talk about that in a second.
All right.
Okay.
So, Raymond Chandler.
Yeah.
Like, what is his setting?
I think it is Los Angeles, but yes, it's Los Angeles, but he also talks about New York too. But basically, it's Los Angeles.
The reason I'm tying that in is because I read a book set that started in San Francisco. So this is the Tales of the City series by Armistead Maupin, and this is number 10. So he started writing these back in the 80s, and about a group of mostly gay friends in San Francisco. And
cool.
Mona of the Manor is the most recent one. And so Mona was first introduced in the early Tales of the City. This book is set in 1993.
Wow, that's a good time period.
And it's set in England, in the countryside, because if you read Tales of the City, Mona married a gay lord, Gaylord.
And his name was Gaylord. No.
No, his name was Teddy. And Teddy wanted to go to San Francisco and just have a wild gay life.
Sounds good.
He wouldn't inherit his manor unless he was married. That was the thing. So she was a mail order bride, and she ended up loving it in England. Loved this old house, but it's really expensive, and so she takes in paying guests.
Oh.
And so
I think I'll love this book.
In this one, it's a couple from the southern states, and they've been married a long time, and he has been abusive to his wife for a long time.
Oh.
So Mona helps her out.
Oh,
like,
sounds
You're
good.
in a bad situation, I'm going to help you out. So there are a lot of qualities to it that really reminded me of Maupin's earlier books, where the viewpoint switches from chapter to chapter because there's a number of different characters, and there's some improbable things that happen, funny things, but also serious undertones like family violence.
Yes.
And there's somebody who's got transphobia. Yeah.
Wow.
So It's not very fat. It's
No,
a
it
very
doesn't.
fast read.
Sounds good.
It is good.
Is it a
Yeah.
5-star read?
4.5.
Okay, that's. I'll take that.
So what's next?
Well, I guess I'll talk about the books that I bought.
Sure.
Because we went to Pulp Fiction, I think it was. And no, it wasn't Pulp Fiction. That was another bookstore I went to.
Upstart and Crow.
Upstart and Crow on Granville Island, which is, if you're in Vancouver, I really suggest you go there. They have the best donuts, Lee's Donuts. And Lindy gave me that that tip, and I haven't eaten donuts for a long time, and neither has my daughter, who's here with me, and she said the donuts were exceptional. But anyway,
But the donuts aren't in the bookstore.
no,
They're
not.
in the Granville Island Market,
And
which
you
is
have
not
to-
too far away.
But you have to wait on a long line, and we didn't wait on that line. We just looked at the donuts. We actually bought them when we were downtown, when we were in Gastown.
Yeah.
When we were there was no line. We walked in and bought our donuts. I don't
Perfect.
like to wait on line. But so an Upstart and Crow is a wonderful bookstore. The other good store that's not a bookstore was a broom store, and I'm telling you, I almost bought a broom. We tried out all the brooms, and I never had been to a broom store before. But anyway, Upstart and Crow is wonderfully laid out. The tables were just beautiful, and every book that I've seen on BookTube that's been lauded on BookTube was there, and other books that, of course, that I haven't read. And I asked the wonderful lady that was at the counter. She was taking care of all the books. I told her I like mysteries. She said, we don't have too many mysteries, but we do have translated fiction. And you won't be able to find this one in Hawaii. So it's a Japanese translated fiction. It's called Point Zero by Seicho Matsumoto, a master crime writer. His thrillers dissect Japanese society. So I'm going to show you the cover. It's really nice.
And who is the translator?
Oh, the translator. Good question. Translated by Louise Kawai, which is interesting. She might be from Hawaii for all I know, but it's spelled differently. And what it says is Tokyo 1958. Doesn't that make you want to read it already? Teiko marries Kenichi Uhara, 10 years her senior, an advertising man recommended by a go-between. After a 4-day honeymoon, Kenichi vanishes. Teiko travels to the coastal and snowbound city of Kanazawa, where Kenichi was last seen, to investigate his disappearance. When Kenichi's brother comes to help her, he is murdered, poisoned in his hotel. I don't want to read any more of it to you because I will say one thing. His disappearance is tied up with the so-called Pan girls, women who worked as prostitutes catering to American GIs after the war. This sounds really, really good. More about culture around that time than even about the mystery itself. Then, and I was trying to figure out, it's also Jewish Heritage Month, but no one really knew about it. But yes, Upstart and Crow had a whole table, and this is called The Postcard by Berest, and it's also a picture. And this is based on a true story, and it says it's a testament to the power of imagination. But Berest, The Postcard, is among the most acclaimed and beloved French novels of recent years. And I collect Holocaust literature when it's good, when it's true. And this is a true story. And it's also has a Paris kind of link to it, so I like that. It is at once a gripping investigation into family trauma, a poignant tale of mothers and daughters, and a vivid portrait of 20th century Parisian intellectual and artistic life. So in January 2003, together with the usual holiday cards, an anonymous postcard is delivered to the Berest family home. On the front, a photo of the Opera Garnier in Paris. On the back, the name of Anne Berest's, so the author, her maternal great-grandparents, Ephraim and Emma, and their children, Noemi and Jacques, all killed in Auschwitz. Years after the postcard is delivered, the heroine of this novel is moved to discover who sent it and why. And what emerges is the moving saga of a family devastated by the travails of the 20th century and partly restored through the power of storytelling. So if that really doesn't get you, well, I don't like usually family sagas. I'm not into family sagas, but when it has this much story and history and a mystery in it, as well as so many wonderful, I think it was a book of the year by someone, a best NPR, Time, Globe and Mail, best book of the year. So,
and while I was waiting for you and your daughter to arrive on the ferry to Vancouver Island, next to me waiting was a fellow who was reading this book.
oh, that's so good.
But tell me, what don't you like about family sagas?
I think that what I don't like is if I'm not interested in the family.
Okay, fair enough.
or if it goes into so many different generations that one generation might move me, and then we'll go into another generation and I'm bored. So yeah, but I'm still open. I can't
Right.
say I don't like it, ever, but I'm
Got
still
it.
open.
Got it. Okay.
The last book I was given for free, and that has never happened to me before. And it was outside in Commercial Drive in Vancouver. And
And do you remember the bookstore?
I don't know. It didn't have a really big name to it. I'm sorry, I don't remember. It was marked down, and he decided to give it to me for free. I think the reason partly was because I was paying with a credit card, and it would have cost him more. It would have cost him probably $1 out of the $2. He said, just take it. But he was very nice. He said, if you have $2, give it to somebody. And I thought that was really nice. And it's just another Holocaust memoir, Ruta's Closet by Keith Morgan with Ruth, Kron, Sigal. And I think she died right after this book was written. So you can see she's a child at the time of the story was taken. It's by Utility One Press, an imprint of Unicorn Press. I'm going to look at that. And about the authors, Keith Morgan was born in January 1954 in Blackpool, England. He began his career as a reporter. Oh, I see what the Canada link was. A reporter for his hometown newspaper in Blackpool in 1975, moving to Vancouver, British Columbia in 1980, where he's currently the driving editor for the Province and Vancouver Sun newspapers. And Ruth Kron Sigal was born in Lithuania in 1936. After the Second World War, she moved to Canada with her family, where she died in December 2008, shortly after the completion of Ruta's Closet. So it's not a big book, but it does have a nice picture on the back. I think it's of her parents. And so basically it says it's heartbreaking but inspiring, courage, love, and triumph over Nazi evils. So it's not a new book, but it looks really new. So,
Wow.
so that's it beside the Alice Munro that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, actually, let's talk about
Okay.
Alice Munro. Shawn hosted a conversation with a panel of readers about a particular Alice Munro short story, Dance of the Happy Shades, that was from her earliest collection, the title story. I will link that conversation down below if you have missed it. We also talked about our connection to Alice Munro. But you didn't have a chance to talk about your connection to Alice Munro.
Well, beside the Munro bookstore that we went to today.
Whoa, yes, there's that. So in Victoria, there's a bookstore, famous bookstore called Munro's Books, and it is named for Alice Munro and her husband, that they started it. Alice Munro lived in British Columbia, Vancouver, and then Victoria for 22 years before she divorced and moved back to Ontario. And Munro's Books, as far as I know, is now employee owned, so that's kind of unusual for a bookstore. And they have all the good stuff there. It's a really great bookstore.
They really do.
And of course, they have an Alice Munro display on right now. Many bookstores in Canada, because Alice died a week ago. Yeah, so there was a nice display of her books there too, and stuff about her.
Yeah, and I watched the video with Shawn, and there's another person I know from Canada.
Yeah, Jolene,
Bookworm
Adventure Girl.
Bookworm Adventure Girl, who I watch her channel, and I was very interested.
And then the podcast, the Mooks and Gripes.
Oh, Mooks and Gripes.
So Trevor was on from there.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I've seen him in another.
And my partner Lori was also.
Yes.
Yes.
It was very nice seeing Laurie and seeing her talk about why she loved Alice Munro. And I was sent right before this, actually, by our subscriber, Nathan, who he sends me a lot of Kindle books, which is very good because I'm getting to the point where I can't really read regular books very easily, because I read at night and then the books fall over. Well, you know the whole story. But I read my first story called The Beggar Maid. It's a book of the best of Alice Munro. And I just wanted to read just the part that I think really shows what kind of writer that Alice Munro was. Of course, I'm new, and Lindsay can tell you much better because she's read, but this is called The Beggar Maid. And I really thought that the way she set up the story really flowed really well. So I'm going to read you a little bit. So it's called The Beggar Maid. Patrick Blanchford was in love with Rose. This had become a fixed, even furious idea with him. For her, a continual surprise. He wanted to marry her. He waited for her after classes, moved in and walked beside her so that anyone she was talking to would have to reckon with his presence. He would not talk when these friends or classmates of hers were around, but he would try to catch her eyes so that he could indicate by a cold, incredulous look what he thought of their conversation. Rose was flattered but nervous. A girl named Nancy Falls, a friend of hers, mispronounced Metternich in front of him. He said to her later, "How can you be friends with people like that?" Nancy and Rose had gone and sold their blood together at Victoria Hospital. They each got $15. They spent most of the money on evening shoes, tardy silver sandals. Then, because they were sure their bloodletting had caused them to lose weight, they had hot fudge sundaes at Boomer's. Why was Rose unable to defend Nancy to Patrick? I thought that's the opening paragraph, and we can see sort of her mixed feelings toward Patrick, and that they come from different classes, and it's very Canadian.
Yeah. Oh, Alice Munro. I picked up a collection of short stories when we were at Munro's Books today.
You did?
I did, yes. And I don't have it here.
Okay.
I'm going to go get it.
Okay.
So just sit tight.
I
I'll
will.
be right back. Yes, so Peacocks of Instagram. And the author is Deepa Rajagopalan. Yes. So I remembered hearing about this and hearing that it was good. And something about the cover and the title Peacocks. You know why? The
yes.
Peacocks. We saw peacocks today. We went
Yes.
to Beacon Hill Park. and there were many peacocks, including one that opened his tail up.
Yes,
Nice.
fanned it out because
Ruffled
they
his
were,
bum.
yeah. I had never seen that before, so that was so special, and the wildlife there was so wonderful. So and I heard, did I hear that the peacock was the loudest voice, or was that the I've watched so many new animals that I can't remember.
Could have been the peacock.
Could
I
have
don't.
been
They're loud. They're
Yeah.
very loud. Anyway, I hardly remember what I heard about this, except that it was good. So what I did was I flipped it open in a few places and read little bits, and I thought, ooh, that
Cool.
sounds good. Ooh, yeah, that sounds good. And again, that sounds good. So
That's the way to do it when you want to
Yeah.
buy a book.
yeah.
So are they really on Instagram?
The peacocks?
Well,
maybe.
not. I wonder why it says Instagram on it.
Well, the peacock is used for people who are showy.
Oh, I
You know,
see.
someone you say someone's peacocking because
Oh,
they're. I'm just guessing. I don't know.
I
Once
thought-
I finish reading it, I will tell you. But
of course,
It's an
what came to
intriguing-
my mind because I saw the peacock is that somebody's showing pictures of peacocks on Instagram.
yeah, they got their Instagram account.
Yeah.
Well, people do that with their pets, right?
Well, you know,
You never
they
know.
don't call me Sherlock for nothing. You know.
So yes, I picked that up today, and I got presents from Marilyn that she brought all the way from Birch Bark Books
Yep.
in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Yes, yes. I was hoping Louise Erdrich would be there. but-
It is her bookstore.
Yes, it is.
2 books by Louise Erdrich, and they are signed.
That's the
So-
special part about it.
Yeah.
The signed
So,
copies.
the Roundhouse, which won the National Book Award, it has been a long time since I read it. And you know what I remember? I do remember the story, but I also remember that I listened to it in audio. And the actor Gary Farmer read it.
I'm going to look for
uh,
that. And I haven't read it, so
Yeah.
I bought this specially for you because I know you love Louise Erdrich.
Yeah, but I didn't read it in print, and it's a whole different feeling.
Yes.
Plus, it's been a long time, and so I'm actually looking forward to rereading this one.
So what is it about?
It opens with a tragic event. It's told from a 13-year-old boy's point of view. Joe is his name,
Wow.
and his mother has been assaulted,
Oh,
and she won't speak about it. She just wants to stay in bed. Ooh, mental health may.
Mental Health May. Yeah.
His father is a judge
Okay.
on their reserve.
Oh,
This is set in North Dakota in 1988, but he can't do anything if his wife won't talk.
right.
And so the boy decides he's going to investigate.
Oh, wow. That sounds
Yeah.
amazing.
It is amazing. And she brings up all the intricacies of the law, because there's tribal law, there's the federal law, there's state
Yes.
law, and depending where a crime took place and
Yes.
what kind of crime it is,
Yes.
you know, it's all very, very complex.
Yes.
And those complexities are teased out in here.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
You know, in addition to that very visceral, personal experience that his mom went through.
Well,
yeah.
yeah. I'm definitely going to listen to it either on audio or on Kindle.
And when I was looking at this cover, I was just seeing red, and the title,
Yes.
and it took me until just now. I thought, wait a minute, that's a woman standing there with a red dress.
Oh, let me see that. Oh, yeah. I see her hair.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's a great cover.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And that's
And-
why I bought it. You know, I was, everyone said you have to read that first. So I said, well,
It's good.
yeah.
And so this one I have not read,
Yay.
Antelope Woman, and I did read about it. It is she's re-edited it and written an introduction to it.
Yeah.
So it's one of her older novels, Antelope Woman. And
I think that's why I got it, because I figured even if you read it, there's
I
something.
haven't- Yes, I haven't read it at all.
Oh, that's great.
So far, I think I've read about seven or eight of her novels. One was nonfiction. Anyway, I'm just like, ooh, this looks so good.
I read The Sentence. That's the only book that I've read, and I loved it. It showed Minnesota so true, the way the setting was, the way the people are, and also it gave me a different idea about indigenous people, because Minneapolis is, in fact, I think it might be in Minneapolis, her bookstore.
Her bookstore, yes.
Yeah.
I said St. Paul.
Yeah,
I grew up in a town named St. Paul, and we've talked about that, about how the little tiny town of St. Paul, Alberta, in Canada, sometimes gets confused with the
That's
great
true.
big
That's
tourist
true.
cities.
But Minneapolis is the largest population of indigenous people in a city, in any city, not in any town, but in a city. And I noticed that when I lived there. But I went to cultural, and I saw they had powwows, and so this gave me a more personal look into it.
Yeah. Well, all of her novels. Well, okay, I'm saying all, but that's not true, because Louise Erdrich has the German side of her family, I think, and in some of her early books, she's exploring more of that.
Oh, I'd be interested.
That's
in
what
that.
I've heard, but I haven't read those.
Yeah, and I didn't see that in the. Oh, maybe I did.
If you
but-
know about that,
Yes.
you can give us some notes down and could give us some comments.
I see you have another book there.
Yes. So another book that's a gift from Maya.
Well, I
is-
did buy it for myself after seeing it on Sandy's channel. Miss Reads a Lot, and she didn't like it. But I said, this looks interesting to me. And I like parts of it. It had a child narrator, which sometimes works for me, sometimes doesn't. This time there was two sisters, an older sister and a younger sister. And it's told in the voice of the younger sister. And the setting of Morocco was very vivid, and it has this hippie. And where it comes from, Hideous, Kinky, is that those were the words that they used. Hideous, kinky, kinky. They thought that was cute. So
So that's the title, Hideous Kinky, and the author is Esther Freud, and
granddaughter of Sigmund Freud.
Right, and I have read one book by Esther Freud before. That was all I remembered. I had to go to Goodreads and say what was that book that I read by her, and now I've forgotten it again. Lost something. It was set in Tuscany anyway, and I gave it 3 stars. It was not memorable, but when I look at this, I think that sounds good to me.
I gave it around 2.5, 3 stars, but
We'll see.
Well-
It's being passed around. It's okay. Maybe you'll like it.
Maybe
Somebody's gotta like it.
Sandy didn't like it. I kind of didn't like it, but I like parts of it. And you never know who's going to like a book and who's not. So I thought if you don't like it, you can put it in one of your many free libraries that I'm really, really jealous of.
Yeah. Oh, around here, you just walk 2 blocks and there's a little free library.
Yeah, we had 2 and they were both taken down, but I'm not going to be jealous about it. I can always come to Canada again.
Yeah, you can.
And I plan to come in a little bit of a warmer weather. I thought the end of May was going to be warm. Well, no. It's chilly.
It's a little chilly.
But I have
Warm
warm
hearts.
hearts.
Oh, well, I've been feeding Maya new things. She
Yes.
tried beets for the first time.
First time.
Turnips for the first time.
And they were good. I just had a bad feel. And I'm going to put more vegetarian meals on my table because Lindy's a vegetarian.
I'm an influencer.
Yes, you
Don't
are.
you know?
You are. You are. You influenced me in many books to read, for sure.
So, yeah. Well, thank
Yeah.
you, everybody, very
Yes.
much for watching.
And I just
Appreciate
wanted to thank everyone who's mentioned Mental Health May because it's so important. And I'm going to do a wrap up when I come home before the end of May. But to be honest, self care. And if you don't know, me and Kim of Middle of the Book March were doing this. And I needed some mental health self care. And I got a massage. I went to Canada. I saw Lindy. This is what it's all about, feeling good. So
Feeling good.
thank you,
Yes.
Lindy, for hosting me. And
It's a pleasure. Yeah. So we'll see you all soon.
aloha. Bye.
Bye for now.
Everyone, healthy, wealthy, and wise.
Put that on your canola with your thumb.
You got a loud voice. Wow. Hello. You're beautiful. Yeah. Never was this close to a peacock in my life.